pasuk refers to Sarah as Hine Yadat Ki Isha Yafes Mara At. So Sarah is described as Yafes Mara. And we have by Rivka Va'ana Torvas Ma'ar Ma'od. Rivka is called Toivas Mare. So she's beautiful. We also have Sarah is the Yafes Mara, we have Toivas Mara. Comes to Rachel, the Eine Leah Rachel, but Rachel had the Yafes Torah Yafes Mara. So she has the Yafes Mara, but she's also got the Yafes Torah. Then we have by Yosef, who's the son of Rachel, that everything was in the hand of Yosef, and he knew nothing except for the bread that he ate. And Yosef was Yafes Torah Yafe Mara. Now, what is Yafes Torah and Yafes Mara? And why is the Torah so makbid? Why does it keep going on about how beautiful these people are? And now look at that. Abraham married a beautiful wife. And Yitzchak married a beautiful wife. And Yaakov married a beautiful. She wasn't only beautiful, she also had Yafes Torah. What's the difference? Why is the Torah so makbid about it? So there's a mamar of the Rebbe from Purim, Tavshin Ted Zayin, where he discusses some of these ideas. Ishlava Air to explain, beginning, the Indian of Knesset Yisrael is Yafes Torah v'Yafes Mara. Explain the terms of Torah and Mara. And the Indian with this is that there's a chiluk between Torah and Mara. There's a difference between the form and how things are looking. What is that? That the Torah is referring to the Tamunat. The Tamunat is the form of the Avarim, of the limbs. Hayinu, what does that mean, the form of the limbs? That they have limbs, that they are Mishklim B'erchem Kedaboy. That they are the relative, in relative they are fitting for how they are in their weight, how big they are, and relative to each other, how they go. So you have a level of Bortzof, which is where you have symmetry, and that symmetry is beautiful, and it's not all everything on the left, everything on the right, that the symmetry is the beauty. And the Mare Kayal Kasterpanim, how the face looks. So it'll be a beauty of the face. It's a beautiful person and a beautiful form. So someone, let's say, have a good body and looks attractive. They're two different things. So why does the face look good? It's because of the blood going through the veins. That vein then will be mashpia on the face of a man. So how it goes through the veins, that will be mashpia on how the person looks. Now there are examples in the Ruchnius. That's the Indian of the 248 mitzvahs aseh. They are keneged the 248 limbs. So therefore, keeping the Torah is Torah. We're not talking about Yafeh yet, we'll have to go on to Yafeh, but Torah is referring to the mitzvahs aseh. And the 365 mitzvahs lo taseh, they are against the 365 gidim, and this is referring to Mara. So the sinews and the arteries and the veins is to do with Mara, and that's the lo taseh. The hayinu shekasher avodasam shel Yisrael hi kedeboy. So when the Jews are serving kedeboy, then they're called Yafes Torah. Then Israel is called Yafes Torah from the side of the shleimus that they have in the 248 limbs. How do they get that? Through the kiyum of the mitzvahs aseh. So the mitzvahs aseh will create a hishtalshalos into the Jewish people that they are Yafes Mara, Yafes Torah. And similarly, they're called Yafes Mara. That's from the shleimus of the 365 gidim, that's through all the inyam of lo taseh that they keep. So by keeping the 365, therefore they get the beauty. So the 248 creates the form, just like each mitzvah aseh is connected a limb, so therefore each limb will create the form of the body. So therefore a beautiful form is when you're doing the mitzvahs well, and then the beautiful face will be, and the attractiveness will be coming from the lota says that they don't do the 365, which refers to the gidim and hine. The Indian of the yafe. What is this yoifi? Yoifis toer v'yofis mara. It's not just that it's toer v'mara, it's yafe. It teaches on the Indian of hiskalos, which is everything coming together. And as with the pashtus, that the truth of the beauty is in the time when there has kalos mikama gavanim, that there's synthesis coming from many different colors and many different types. When you have different types coming together, bringing them together is what creates the yafe, and that is that the avodas of Adam in the Torahs and mitzvahs needs to be in a manner of including the kavim. So you have synthesis between the kavim. And Arizal say that that the world stands on three things. It's not just one thing. And don't focus just on one. You've got all three. And the Torah vel geminis chasidim. Geminis chasidim is a kav yamin. So that's the kav of chesed. Avoda, and it's the small. So don't do just geminis chesed. Don't do just avoda, because then you have the two kavim, but you don't bring them together. And the Torah is a kav emtsoy. It comes in the middle. And when the avoda is with all three kavim, therefore you're bringing all three of them together. Shehua inyan is kalos kol gavanim, and therefore you're bringing together all the different types. Then you create the yoifi. So the yoifi is the synthesis coming together from differences. Ubeprasios yoiter. You can have the yofis Torah tells on the klalos of the kiyam of the mitzvah aseh. So when they have the Yafas Torah, so again the Torah is the mitzvahs aseh. If the Yafas Torah is when you're doing the mitzvahs aseh in a state of coming together. Behu ainian shakol mitzvahs kulula mikol ha-mitzvahs. That every mitzvah is included into it, every other mitzvah. That is, that when you makayim a mitzvah, it isn't because of the nature of its the life and the hislavos in this kav. Shemimin nimshach mitzvahs. It's not just this one mitzvah which you are taking the chiyus from the mitzvah. So the mitzvah you're doing is in that kav. But the kiyum of the mitzvah includes all the mitzvahs. Also in the mitzvahs that are coming from different kavim. Because when you do a mitzvah, it's from the tzivah of Hashem, and that's coming from a place that's above his kalkus lekavim. So when it's coming from Hashem, it's above the dividing up. So since it's coming from there, even though now when I'm doing the mitzvah, it is divided up, and I'm only doing a mitzvah from a certain kav, that I'm getting a certain hashbah from the mitzvah, a certain effect from the mitzvah. I'm doing it from a certain emotional space, but since it's coming from above all that, so therefore the mitzvah then will be koilel every other mitzvahs, and therefore memela it will have all the kavim in there. And that's the inyan of the yoifi in the when you do the mitzvahs, because every mitzvah includes all the mitzvahs from all the different kavims, as it says in the Shemiras Mitzvahs Lo Taseh, that if you the klalos of avoda of sormira, it's on the side of gevura. So since you're stopping doing something, I'm not going to do that. That's the gevura. I'm going to strengthen over my yetzer hara, and therefore that's from the kav of gevura. So that will be on the left. That's also yoifi. The ha'inyan is this kalos for the mitzvahs and the kol of kavim. As we said before, that since you're bringing in from above, it comes into all the kavim, and therefore there's a synthesis in what you're doing. And that the beauty is not where I just have the color red on a page. It's bringing all the colors on the page and putting it together. I don't just have one note in my symphony. I have multiple notes, and it's how they come together, how the instruments come together, how the pictures, how the different people come together. As they come together, they create something greater than the pieces of the pie. And there you have a sports team that they're greater than. It's not just 5 or 20 superstars are coming together and becoming the team. So that's where the beauty comes in. It's synthesizing all the different pieces. Pratius yoiser, and to get more into this, there's two inyan of yoifi, because that's what it says, Yafis Torah Yafis Mara. So we could have just said that they're toyer or Yafis toyer vermare, but it says Yafis twice, 2 times Yafeh. Hayinu, that's because that it's divided up into 2 inyan shel yoifi. Yafis toyer is where they come together, the beauty and the shlemus of the Torah, of the form, and that's the inyan of doing the mitzvahs aseh. And the Yafis Mara is when you come together in the doing of the shlemus in the inyan of Mara, and that's the surmeira from stop doing the mitzvahs aseh. And now we'll understand this with a introduction into the difference between the mitzvahs aseh and the mitzvahs lo taseh, because we know and we see that it's easier to do all the mitzvahs that Hashem told us, and it's more difficult than to keep from doing the 365 lo tasehs. So it's more difficult to not do something than to do something. So in order to not fulfill the taivas of your yetzer. So when you're doing the mitzvah, it's more what you're doing as opposed to who you are. So when you're doing something and you can be a bad person, then for one moment you can give some tzedakah, you can light some Shabbos candles, you can do mitzvahs. That mitzvah doesn't define you as much as keeping away from the lo taseh. So when you keep your taivas in check, so that's more a defining who you are. So therefore it's more difficult to live your life in the level of I don't do that than it is to have the life of, well, I did it. So that the mitzvahs lo taseh are more difficult, and therefore it's understood that because of the keeping the 365 lo tasehs, that you need to bring down from a much higher place. And this inyan is, as explained in many places, that the 248 mitzvahs asa come down from the oisis of Hashem, the vav hey and the yud hey. So it goes into some Kabbalistic ideas here that why we see that the mitzvahs lo taseh are coming from a higher place. So now we can understand that the Yafas Torah and Yafas Mara is coming from the mitzvahs lo taseh, which is higher than mitzvahs aseh. That's the yofi benashim. Yafas Torah and Yafas Mara. It's teaching on the shleimus of the avodah of the kav of the mitzvahs aseh, and from keeping the mitzvahs lo taseh. And that's also that the yofi of the women is the gematria arur haman. So hayofi benashim, that shen hayofi benashim is 502. That's the gematria of arur haman, which is also the gematria of Baruch Mordechai. It's all the same gematria. And gematria teaches that there's a connection between them, or they're coming from the same root, or they are the same thing. So the yofi with nashim, what is the beauty of the women, is arur haman. That the way of Haman's life is so disgusting and is so below me that I can't live that way. So therefore I am keeping the 365 lo tasehs. I am not going to do them because my way of life brings me to a point of where that's a cursed life. I am not going to live that cursed life, and therefore who I am is defined by keeping, by shomer the mitzvahs lo taseh, by not doing the lo tasehs. So therefore the gematria of Yafa ben Nashim is the same as Arur Haman, and that's the kolis of the Avodah Desur Meira, to the shemiras of the 365, but it's also the gematria of Baruch Mordechai. So therefore you become the tzaddik, you become blessed like Mordechai by doing the avodah vasei tov, of doing the ramach of mitzvahs aseh. So for the yofi ben Nashim is the Yafas Torah coming together with the Yafas Mara, which is the shemiras 365 and the 248. And that's also the Yofi ben Nashim is the gematria of 502, and that's the mispar of the years of the Avos. Now Avraham lived for 175. You add the years of Yitzchak 180, add the years of Yaakov 147, and you get 502. And that's the inyan of the Hiskalos of the Gimel Kavim. So you have in the Yafeh ben Nashim, how do you reach the point of Yafeh ben Nashim? You get the din of Chesed. Avraham was Chesed. Add that to Yitzchak of Gevurah. Add that to Yaakov, who was the Bachar of the Avos, and he was the middle. He was the Kav Mutzia. He was the middle Kav of the. That's the Torah. He's at Yoshev Ha'alim. He sat and he learned Torah. That's the Tiferes, and all that is included in the inyan of Yafeh ben Nashim. So now at this point we can understand that since Yaakov is the middle Kav, so therefore we have Avraham, he has the Yofis Mara, and so does Yitzchak. They're the Kavs of the Chesed and the Gevurah. However, Yaakov, which is the Kav of Mitzuya, he also has a Yafas Torah. And that altogether, the three Avos will bring the Hiskalos, and you come to the din of the Yafeh ben Nashim. We'll go back to the end of, that was paragraph 3, back to the end of paragraph 2. It says the Chiluk Bezeh, that's a matzav of Knesset Yisrael, how they're called in the name of Esther. So Esther is another female who is described by her beauty. However, the Gemara, it says that she was Yirak Yerugos, that she was green, which is not a level of Yofi, is not beautiful. But the Megillah says that everybody liked her. She found chen with everybody. As it says in the time of Purim, that's how the Jews were in the time of Purim. And the Yeshna Ma'amad Matzav Kafisha Bisman Abayit. So by the time of Purim, the Jews were on the level of Esther. And in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, then Knesset Yisrael were called the Yafe ben Nashim, and then their names were Rachel. So we referred to Rachel when the Jews were in the time of the Beis HaMikdash. They referred to as Esther in the time of Purim, because the Jews were in different places, because Purim is a time of Galus. Yafas Torah, Yafas Mara. So the time of the Beis HaMikdash, therefore the Jews themselves were reaching this level of Yafas Torah and Yafas Mara with the mitzvahs. Hayinu shebizman Purim, Knesset Yisrael, with the Ma'avad Matzav Kamo Bizman Galus. So since the Jews at the time of Purim were the time of Galus, therefore the Jews were not the Yafas Mara and Yafas Torah. They were not in their homeland. They didn't have that level of connection to the mitzvahs. They were in Galus, and therefore you have the Hester Panim, and therefore you have this beauty is hidden. And therefore you have the Esther, who people aren't appreciative of her looks. She'eno ba'ama matzav the Yafas Torah v'Yafas Mara, like the Yafas Benashim. So that's in the time of Galus, that's in the time of Purim. So im lo tadini lach Yafas Benashim, as nikra Knesset Yisrael b'shem Esther sheyakr kros hayesaz, that she wasn't beautiful or Yafas Yam Mafas Tara, because it's coming out in Esther, the state of the Jewish people. Shehu hepach inyan hayofi. So this Yerakirkos is completely different to Yofi. That's not the way, because his Kalos is not coming out in the Jews, and therefore the Yafe is not coming out in Esther. And now from the Inyan, that if you don't know me, La'achrazeh, Hasimcha de Purim ba'oifa ad de lo yada. So this is a idea here that the woman of Esther was not coming out. It wasn't revealed in a state of beauty. It was in a state of, you don't even know your beauty. And everyone find chayin, but she didn't know her beauty, and she wasn't an obvious beauty. It wasn't that you look at her and you see the beauty. And therefore, the simcha of Purim, which is keneged, and the inyan of nehabochu, so therefore the simcha of Purim is ad de lo yada, which is beyond, like just like you don't know. So now we have, again after explaining the ideas of Yafas Mara and the ideas of Yafas Torah, and it comes out in the women because it's really a reflection of the Jewish people. So v'amnam yeshno ma'amad matzav if you don't know. So this is the idea. It's in from Tehillim that if you don't know the beauty of the nation, that is the klalos ha'inyan of because he sinned. Hayinu shechaser be'inyan ha'toyer. So we're lacking the toyer, or we're lacking the inyan of Mara. So if we're not keeping the mitzvahs, then with both of them, and then because of this, then that's why you get the galus from the land, and then you're called Knesset Yisrael in the name of Esther. That is teaching on the Helem and the Hester, as Chazal say, Esther Minotor Menayin. It says, "Ani Esther, Esther Panai." I will hide my face on that day, and explain from this that the two lashonos, Esther, Esther. We got two things going on here. Hester, Esther. Hester is Hey Sasar and Aleph Sasar. So that's the Hey. So the rest of this paragraph he explains how the Hey refers to. So Hem Keneged basing on Yafas Torah. So the Hey is Keneged Yafas Torah, and the Aleph is Keneged Yafas Mara. So the Aleph is the 365. Lota says, so Gam in the 365 minus Lota says, and therefore you get the Siluk, and that's the Aleph Aster, which is the level of Keser, and you have the 248 mitzvahs Asay, that's the first Esther, which is the Hey Sasir. So the Aster, that's the story of Esther, where they're lacking the Yafas Mara, you lacking the Yafas Torah, because you're not doing the mitzvahs Kaboy, and you're not keeping yourself from the mitzvahs Lota said Kaboy, and again, the real beauty of the person is who they are in the sense of their dignity, of how they relate to the mitzvahs Lota says, which creates the physical beauty of that. The life of not keeping the Torah and mitzvahs is Or Haman, is the curse of Haman. And therefore, by staying away from what's cursed of Haman, therefore it comes out in their beauty of that is something that is that is attractive to people because of their dignity, because they're living the life of Torah and mitzvahs. So keeping the mitzvahs asay, therefore creates the structure in your life. So Abraham says to Sarah that your Yafis Mara, because they weren't keeping, didn't have the Torah. They weren't on the Kav of Yaakov. And therefore you have Rivka, who's also with Yitzchak, who was the extreme. And then you have the Torah coming through Yaakov, who is in the middle, and therefore you have the Yafas Mar and the Yafas Torah. Again, the simple pshat, the pshat level is that, oh well, the imahos were beautifully spiritually, and therefore it came out in their beauty, and therefore they were beautiful physically. However, you can have many gedolim these days, and then their wives wouldn't necessarily make the top 10 FHM women of the year. So what do you want to say? That, well, they don't have a beauty because they're obviously spiritually lacking. Since I don't see their beauty, well, open up the Torah and you see, oh, the Avos, all their wives were beautiful. But it's reflection on Klal Yisrael. And Klal Yisrael, what is this Yafas Mar and Yafas Mar? The Avos are Kolel Klal Yisrael. And the Imahos are Kolel Klal Yisrael. And they are paying for Klal Yisrael, and they live their lives in Klal Yisrael. The Simon Avos Lebanim, that what the Avos do come out in the children. So for example, Abraham went down to Egypt, Sarah got kidnapped, so the Jews went into slavery. So they came out with lots of money, so the Jews left Egypt with wealth. So the Avos going through this, the representation of Klal Yisrael. So therefore, the beauty there is referring to the mitzvahs aseh, the mitzvahs lot aseh, and the synergies between them.